My parents surprised me by flying me home for the holidays. I thought it was love. I thought it was family time. But the moment I arrived, I realized the truth. I wasn't invited home as a daughter. I was brought back as a free babysitter so they could enjoy their vacation. That was the moment I decided this wouldn't end the way they expected. When my parents called me and told me they were flying me home, I was genuinely happy. I hadn't seen my family in a long time. Life had been stressful, lonely, and exhausting. That phone call felt like a warm hug from far away. I imagined long family dinners, late-night talks, laughing with my siblings, and finally feeling like I belonged again. I packed my bags with excitement. I even brought small gifts for my younger siblings. On the flight, I kept smiling to myself, thinking they really missed me. When I landed, everything felt normal at first. My parents hugged me, my siblings ran toward me. The house smelled familiar. For a moment, I truly believed this trip was about love. But that illusion didn't last long. After dinner, my mom casually placed a notebook on the table. It looked thick, too thick. She opened it and started explaining schedules, wake-up times, meals, homework, bedtime routines. I laughed nervously and asked, "Why are you telling me all this?" That's when my dad said, completely calm, "Oh, because we're leaving tomorrow morning. You'll be watching the kids." I froze. I thought he was joking. I waited for laughter. None came. My mom added, "It's just for a few days. You're responsible and mature. We trust you." That was the moment my chest tightened. They weren't inviting me home. They were using me. I asked slowly, "You flew me here just to babysit?" My mom avoided eye contact. My dad shrugged. "What's the big deal? Your family." That sentence hurt the most. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. The excitement, the flight, the hugs, the lies. I felt stupid for believing them. The next morning, they left early. No long goodbye, no guilt, just quick instructions and a rushed exit. The door closed. And suddenly, it was just me and the kids. At first, I tried to be nice. I followed their rules. I cooked, cleaned, helped with homework, managed tantrums, bedtime fights, and endless questions. By the end of the first day, I was exhausted. And that's when something inside me snapped. I realized something very important. They thought I would suffer quietly. They thought I would complain later and then forget. They thought I was still the same girl who never spoke up. They were wrong. That night, as I sat alone in the living room, I stopped feeling angry and started thinking, if they wanted to treat me like a babysitter, then I would show them exactly what that meant. Not with shouting, not with fighting, but with intelligence. That was the moment my revenge truly began.
The next morning, I woke up early, my mind racing. This wasn't just babysitting anymore. This was my chance to show my parents that I couldn't be underestimated. I started with small but clear rules for the house. Breakfast at exactly 8 a.m. Homework before any screen time. Playtime strictly after chores. Story time at 6 p.m. I explained everything to my younger siblings like a drill sergeant, but with a smile. At first, they groaned and complained, "Ugh, this is too much." I smiled back, saying, "Yes, it's a lot. Welcome to my world." I also added little humorous reminders around the house. Sticky notes like, "I'm in charge now." "Parents underestimated me. Don't make the same mistake." At first it felt silly, but I realized these small things were giving me a sense of control and power. Then I started implementing fun challenges. I turned every daily task into a little obstacle course. Cooking challenge. I made my siblings prepare breakfast with my strict instructions. Mess up and you start again. Cleanup challenge. Toys had to be organized by color and size. If anything was out of place, they had to redo it. Craft challenge. Fun arts and crafts projects, but timed. This kept them busy for hours. The best part? These challenges were fun for the kids, but would also show my parents later how much effort babysitting actually required. By the second day, I had complete control of the house. Everything was organized, the kids were following the schedule, and even though they complained occasionally, they secretly enjoyed the challenges. And then came the calls from my parents. They expected to hear chaos, whining, and complaints, But instead, I confidently explained the schedule, what we had accomplished, and how smooth everything was running. Mom's voice trembled a little over the phone. "Wow, everything seems perfect. Did you really do all this by yourself?" I smiled. "Of course, but maybe next time don't underestimate me before I start." Dad laughed nervously. "We didn't think you'd take charge like this." I could feel the subtle satisfaction building inside me. They were realizing they had been wrong to assume I'd quietly obey. Then I added playful reminders to keep the lessons subtle but clear. A daily progress report left on the fridge. Homework done, meals served, crafts completed. Sticky notes in different rooms. "I'm not your free babysitter." By the end of the week, the house ran like a well-oiled machine. My siblings were happy, entertained, and learning responsibility, and my parents had no idea how much thought and strategy I had put into every single detail.
The day my parents were supposed to return, I woke up before sunrise. The house was silent, almost eerily so. My siblings were still asleep, and the living room was spotless. Every toy was in its place, every chore completed, every challenge I had planned executed perfectly. I walked through the house, checking small details. Beds neatly made, breakfast dishes washed, homework neatly stacked, craft projects organized. This wasn't just babysitting anymore. It was a stage for my ultimate revenge. I smiled, knowing they would realize the effort I had put in, the skill, patience, and control they had underestimated. Final preparations. Before they arrived, I added subtle but pointed touches. Sticky notes around the house. Lesson completed. Underestimating me will cost you respect. Babysitting is harder than you thought, isn't it? A daily report on the fridge with the kids' achievements. Homework completed perfectly. Crafts finished on time. Behavior excellent. Chores fully done. Even the kids were in on it. They giggled quietly at the notes and report cards, understanding that I was subtly teaching our parents a lesson while keeping things fun. The parents arrive. The sound of a car pulling into the driveway made my heart race, but this wasn't fear, it was anticipation. I knew they were about to see the full impact of my clever revenge. They stepped inside, carrying gifts and stories from their vacation, but as they looked around, their smiles froze. The house was perfect. The kids were happy, occupied, and disciplined. Every room reflected order, creativity, and control. Mom's eyes widened, glancing at the sticky notes and report cards. Dad's jaw tightened as he realized how much planning and effort had gone into running the house smoothly. Mom spoke first, almost whispering, We didn't expect this at all." Dad added, a little nervously, "You really managed all of this by yourself?" I smiled calmly. "Of course. And now you understand. I'm not someone to underestimate." The silence in the room was heavy with realization. My parents finally understood that I hadn't just babysat, I had run the house with strategy, intelligence, and authority. Subtle, clever revenge. I didn't shout, I didn't punish, I didn't make them feel small. Instead, my revenge was quiet, smart, and undeniable. Respect earned with unconflict. Independence proven beyond doubt. Parents humbled, but not humiliated. Kids happy, engaged, and learning responsibility. Mom finally admitted softly, "We should have trusted you more. We underestimated you." I nodded calmly. "Now you know. Respect is earned, even from your parents." Dad laughed nervously, but with admiration. "Lesson learned. We will never underestimate you again." Reflection and moral. Sitting quietly later that evening, I watched my siblings play. I realized, life will put you in unfair situations. People will underestimate you. Clever, calm, and strategic action can turn any situation in your favor. Sweet revenge doesn't have to hurt anyone. Proving your strength, intelligence, and independence is enough. Call to action. Life will test you. People will underestimate you. But clever action, patience, and confidence can turn the tables. Stand up, think smart, and make sure your worth is recognized. If you enjoyed this story, like, subscribe, and share. Comment below if you've ever had to get your own clever revenge.